Hey everyone, I wanted to tell a story, but violent contents and sexual contents is strictly prohibited. All violators will be banned. Please contact your format if anything that you are using. So, what I wanted to talk about is that when I was 15 years old, I made a bet with the world leaders when I was 15 years old, and I was standing on the beach in Ka'u on Punaluu on the phone, standing and staring at the water. And they said, so the world leaders said, or questioned me, do I believe that all of this, what I'm saying, or all of this that we're talking about, that they're saying to me and I saying to them, going to happen? And why this event and those events going and not going to happen? I'm not going to go into the specifics because you saw the events. And I was 15 years old and I was standing in Ka'u on a flip phone that was silver and or a Nokia phone that was silver, something like that. And it wasn't mine. It wasn't mine. I know it wasn't mine. And we made these bets. Me and the world leaders made this bet. And then I will become the grand honor of even their authority. So I am like the leaders of the leaders. Like they're still the leaders, but I lead them. So I'm the leader of the leaders. Kind of like the king of the kings. Yeah. So they said if I win, they will grant me that authority because of my rights of authority. So now that's where a lot of the questions come down as how did I get the rights of authority? Was I born the right? I'm a female. So that should take you back to the guidelines of the rules. Was females born with authority? How many years that could prove that women was fighting for the equal rights, for equal authority? So if I was born a female, is it a born right? No, that's not possible. Remember, you got to think how it was in the 80s and the 90s. Okay. So I'm going to go back about right here. Okay. So one day I was sitting on top of this deck with the leaders, and the leaders would explain to me the guidelines and the rules of these certain authorities, honors, and levels. And how, because I was sitting there going, how come you get and I don't get? So that's how I know what the difference between a male and a female authority back in the day, because I was explained by those of authority, the world leaders too, with one article. There's a real article that is also a decree that has the details and rules of how these authorities are run. And some of these boys, like, okay, so this is how it works. Those that's in authority, the ones I was talking to, they own them already. Because I asked them, so how did you own your authority if you have a brother, you have a sister? I said sister because I still thought that girls still should have, but Yeah, they was trying to break it into me, but never, and didn't. If you notice, it did never ever did. So they was explaining to me the difference between boys and girls, birthrights of authority of power, leadership, and all this kind of stuff like that. So I sat there and said, "Oh, tell me the story how you became the authority then." They said, "Well, we had to fight our own brothers and their own cousins to get where they was." Very male-like. So I was like, "Oh." So it explains why they're so evil, because they even had to beat up their own brothers in their own family. So I was like, "Oh, okay." And then that's how they got their rank. And I said, then this is the key question. I said, so how somebody like me that's coming up can earn that position? He said, no, not anybody can do it. You have to be appointed, or appointed means you have to be recognized. Okay. Or you have to have birthright. I'm a girl. I was born a female, but I can prove it by my birth certificate that I do not qualify for the birthright side of the section of the article. But there's a part of the article in another section, okay, that states that it states that one, date, marry by title, lover, mate of sexual favor. So meaning that they never give you a title, they never recognize you, but he did recognize you as like, okay, she's my favorite. Yeah. So you notice how it's really directed to a girl. So the second one is be recognized by high honored leaders. So the details of being recognized by high ranking leaders, you got to really impress them, like really super impress them, that, or you and reach one level that they have to recognize you. Like they have to, like you and establish a huge ass army that's like on continent already. We have to recognize you. You know what I mean? Your army as big as my army. We equal now. So be recognized by the world leaders or all the leaders. Okay. This is the one that I kept secret because this wasn't even part of it. Okay. To take somebody's birthright or take somebody's power from them and their position to run for their authority. Yeah. So first, I select another boy. I select another boy because I could tell inside of him he never his father was forcing him to practice and exercise his birthright. So he wanted his son to get in the arena, fight for his death, but he already could see that he was going to die. And the weirdest thing is, he was a psychic too. So that's how I realized that he was really connected to his feminine side. He not going to survive. So how I know this is because we brought him to the house, this one here. And I was sitting out at the deck, and I was looking outside in the backyard. And actually, I think I'm right about over here. Yeah. But I think I was closer to the rail, and I was watching the boys, and they was picking on him. And I was waiting and waiting for him for fight or something, right? And his dad was sitting about maybe right by the sink, but a little bit off. But he was facing me, like he was looking at me. And he was giving me the stink eye. And I was like, why are you giving me the stink eye? That's your son, not my son. You know what I mean? And me and your son is same age. So, or actually, he was a little bit older than me. That's right. They're like about 3-4 years older than I am. Because the boys that was selected had to be born at a certain year. So that's how it works. All the authority females get on notice that this is the year, boys, that going to be selected to upcoming, because that's the years that when it comes when the authorities that's in office come a certain age, they're going to be exiting out of their prime. They're like one whole age group and all. That's the reason why men was very keen about their prime. Like, oh, I still in my prime. I still in my prime. My age don't matter. That's why it was more about their prime. But other than that, let's get back to what I was saying. On the article that states the fact of the authority level, recognition is known is the one of power, authority of higher honorable level of authority, of their high level authority. So this boy that I would select, he wasn't that high of authority, but he did have rights to get that authority. He had the rights, the born right, because he was still born in that time. So what happened was, oh my God, my hair. What happened was the boy wouldn't recognize me that day. I didn't go down there. I didn't go, because I made one promise to him that if it doesn't work out and if he is correct, so I lost my bet with him. He said, I bet you I'm going to lose. I'm going to be picked on and this and that. And I said, no, you're not. You just got to get some courage and, brave and blah, blah, blah. And that day is like, he smacked me in the face like, oh, okay. You need way more than courage. You need skills too with the courage. Okay, so, woohoo. Okay, so I had to go down there and then, work it out, for him. And then right there in the parking lot, he goes on his knees. And his father was like, get off your fucking knees. Get off your knees. But then he went on his knees and he says, I recognize you. And he says my name. And I said, and then without even listening to nobody, I said, I recognize you and I accept. That everybody couldn't say nothing, not even the father, because it's his birthright who he wants to recognize. That he's giving up his, like he even stated too, I give my birthright to her. And I said, and then that's when I inherit my first subject. He was my first member of that title, of that authority. He was my first member of my, when I became in some kind of authority, was the one that gave me the authority. He was my first member. That I'm not gonna let you shoot my only member. You know what I mean? Like, hello. So, because I remember one of the rules state is how big your subjects are too, meaning the amount of your subjects as well. Not only as big as your army, because your subjects can be drafted into your army. So the more subjects you have, the bigger your army. Technically, that's how they see it. So I turned around and I fight them. And that's when they said, you know what? Get your ass up here. And I go upstairs. I brought him too. And I went recognize him as one of my alphas, meaning that he gets all the benefits that he always had, but he don't need run and he don't need fight for his birthright. They still got he still gets his high level authority payments, all this blah, 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 because I recognize him as one alpha. When, like, not in one leader level that he got to fight, but I recognize him as an alpha that follows somebody that has to fight. So that's how, when get my happy ass into trouble, was me not really thinking, and I just, like, I just accept right there. God would put me in my place. Without, it was like when force, was like God when, was how the thing would happen, was like God would force me to do them. without even thinking, because the answer had to come out quickly. So it's not like I had one sweet Mary Doolala time for think about it. No, it was boy hit his knee saying, I recognize you. And then, okay, I accept. That's how it had to be. Not boy hit his knees going, I recognize you. And he's still going over there, la, 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 la. You know what would happen to if you went la, 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 la? That's what would happen to you. So, yeah, so then that's what gave me some kind of birthright. That's what gave me the reason to sit with the men upstairs. Kanani never know that yet. That's the whole reason why they didn't call him, was to let him know that there's a new member, and this is initiation. And all high-ranking alphas and high-ranking members gotta be here for the ceremony, for the initiation. This is how I went gain my higher level right at this moment. Kanani ended up coming to over here, but nobody told me that Kanani's ranking level of birthright was really high up there until he was yelling it in my face. Even though that I was high ranking and I was recognized, he's still higher than me. Yeah. So days went go by, because the reason why he was yelling at me is because he wanted me to recognize that, okay, I am the lower level of high authority. He is the high level of this high authority, whatever. Yeah. So that made me mad, because I never know that even in the high authorities, there was levels too. Levels in the levels. So I was like, oh, okay, this pyramid got secret tunnels in this bitch. So I was like, okay, pyramid with secret tunnels. I'm gonna tunnel my own. And I did. I ended up, working with the leaders. And then I ended up receiving a lot of leaders that didn't know that they all was agreeing to the same contract. And the title that they was recognizing me as was queen. Okay. And in the definition, as long as the word queen is in my title, I own the rights of high authority recognized by, and then whoever gave me the contract. Yeah. And every leader has a contract with me that gives me a title of queen. And as long as they hold that authority level, so do I. So I own every level of authority in the levels of authorities of the whole authority. I own every position. Every single nitty-gritty position, I own them. Because that's how far I would work. I would work from the dirt ground. And I'd work every nitty-gritty position in that pyramid to earn where I am now. That's why the boy chose to recognize me. He said he'd been watching me for a long, long time, and he wanted to do that to me for a long, long time, but he never had the opportunity. He took the opportunity when the opportunity came, with and without my consent. He did them without my consent. He was just on his knees praying, hallelujah, I hope she accept. Please, please, please. Because him hitting the, okay, if I did not accept, he just told himself he is accepted, that everybody here can kill him. But in his mind was, he was going to die anyway, right? And because he thought that he was going to die anyway, why not take the risk? And the reason why I know this is because I talked to him. I sit him down in my house by myself. I was sitting in the dark on the deck. And he had a hard time for talk to me. And I said, where are your car keys? And we go in his car and we drive away. And he explained to me everything in his car. That, yeah, he was watching me for a long time. He wanted me to take his position for a long, long time. He was just scared because I was a girl. But who I am and what he saw in me, he believed. He said that he also cheated because one time he asked me for my blood, and then he said he had used his psychic powers on my blood. And he said that my blood would turn black. And I said, oh, is that a good or bad thing? He said, no, it was actually a good thing. And I said, why? He said because the stuff that he was doing, he was asking for someone that had an equal amount of the same ability as what the enemy was. And it was black. The liquid that he would use to symbolize the evil that he wanted, that he believed was against him. So his birthright shed. He was against what he used the symbol black. So the point is, whatever color you use as your enemy, that's what your water on this side is supposed to turn when you do all that stuff. So he used the color black. But the things he said, he would like it better because his black for the enemies was still like, you know, when you put the dye inside the water and you mix them, you can tell it's still water and swirls. No, but my one was as black as my jacket. Was like oil. Thick. So that means I was very strong, very successful in what he was wishing for. So I was cursed by this boy that he said it was unblessing to do what I'm doing, to save his own life. He cursed me, meaning he took his curse off of himself and he put his curse that was on him and he gave them to me. And I was like, okay, so because I was of authority, right, and a lower rank to Kanani never, I told him, I bet you Kanani doesn't know the words for words of the article. And I guarantee you, if none of you guys say anything, Kanani gonna give me his high-ranking authority right now. So they call the world leaders because they gotta call the world leaders to make this official that he gonna give them to me. So we do all the whole ceremony, everything like that, and they tell him this is your queen spades. And I stand in front of him and I said, take a knee, get on your knees, and recognize me. That's what I want from you. Because he went lose. Me and him made one personal bet that if like months before that day, I bet to him that I can get the world leaders and these leaders to recognize me as queen. And that's their whole ceremony with the world leaders when they're saying that I'm their queen spades and I'm the queen. I want my bed. And I told him what I want from my bed. I told him that day was him to go on his knees and recognize me. He went on his knees right here, right on this deck. Kanani went on his knees. Kanani Abadilla went on his knees and says, I recognize you as my queen. Spades. In the article says, as long as he says my queen and whatever her name is, and I am known as Spades. So I became my queen Spades because that was my nickname, Spades too. So everybody went dead quiet and they said, wait, did he say my queen Spades? Does he know the details of what a queen spades is? See, now I'm winning. I'm winning. The world leaders and all the leaders and catch on. Okay? Depending on the association, the authority is dependable by given, taken, or lost. Because I do not qualify as Kanani's wife. I do not qualify as Kanani's lover. I do not qualify as Kanani's sexual favorite because that's qualified as a lover. And we have no history of dating successfully, consistently, continuously in the word for word of a relationship. So 7 years to 9 years now. So that section 1 just got thrown out. Section 2, I was recognized. Even by him now. Because everyone says, we recognize Queen Spades. We recognize Queen Spades. See, they just said Queen Spades. So they recognize that I'm authority and I hold my authority. But Kanani said, my. That makes a difference. My means I am taking his. My stuff. Now, whatever power he has is mine. And I didn't know that day until the world leaders was like, did he just say my? Is he on his knees? And I said, yeah. And yeah, he said, my queen spades. And he said, yeah, that's what everyone said I'm supposed to say. Everybody around went like this, like, Kanani, if you was listening to what we said as the oath, we never say my. We said, we recognize Queen Spades. And then he was like, I never say my, but then they would play the record back. And you can hear him say my. And then I was like, why you guys keep fighting about it? He recognized me, whoop-de-doo-dah. Can we go on? Because the first time I got recognized, they never do this. They never had this whole argument debate of level. And this is when the world leader said, Kanani, you just lost your birthrights. And he was like, how? He said, you on your knees. Bruh, he jumped so high. off his knees because he was still on his knees. Okay, he's still on his knees. They told me to go grab the article and point out the area about birthright, the birthright section. Because I never the birthright had nothing to do with me. I never read them. And that's where it backfire. The birthright has about female and male. Okay. So, but that's a whole different story. But then inside the details of the male, if he takes knee to anybody, he giving up is giving, meaning loss. Like he surrendered his power of authority of birthright. So that's why he would come from leadership to alpha. And I never know that. I thought, you know what I mean? Like, I thought he would still keep his leadership because all the other ones that recognize me never lose their leadership. But then I know why. Because they said, we recognize Queen Spades. As if I was a whole different authority, like a whole different group. When he said I took over his group. And all his family, all his power, all his everything. It's all mine now. I am recognized as the head leader of his whole family, his whole group, his everybody, because he's supposed to be the upcoming one. And in their family, there was a couple of them, but he was the one that would win. So, whatever. I don't know how the family would select the winner, but Kanani came out the winner, and then I took his win and made it mine. That's the reason why only one son from each leader was actually sitting upstairs. For real. Because then I remember that the brother guys and the cousin guys would be all downstairs and only the main brothers would be upstairs. And they would go, oh, should I tell my brother? Because this is how they used to tell me. Oh, go tell my brother. This and this, blah, blah, blah. So I have to remember them and remember who their brothers and sisters was. Because they wouldn't tell me their name. They'll go, oh, you can tell my brother. You can go tell my sister. And then I'll walk in like, oh, your brother, da-da-da-da, said da-da-da-da-da. And this is how it's going to be. And I'd walk away. And then they would do whatever they got to do, whatever. And then I would come back upstairs and do what I got to do. So, yeah, I still look like one secretary, but I had some ranking of level. Okay. So when it got serious, okay, it started to get really serious now because I started to really get on a really big bank account because I started working, I started saving, I started busting my ass off. Like I was actually hustling for myself. I was hustling for myself. I was doing my own jobs. I was actually doing my own whatever I gotta do, taking my money in, spending it, recycling it, getting bigger credits, and all this kind of stuff, right? So I started having a really big, huge bank account. So once your bank account get big too, you become power too. But Kanani, he was all into partying, showing off. That when we looked at the accounting side, Kanani would look like he was rich. Kanani would look good, and all his cars was nice, this and that. But when you looked at his bank account was less than mine. Like for me, I would look really like a middle class to poor person. But when the accountants would look at no, for real, we're sitting right here on top of this deck on a long table. And the accountants was on this side, and I was on that side facing this way. And we was waiting for Kanani. And then Kanani finally come and he was like, oh, bro, what you guys doing? And this and that, blah, blah. And I said, oh, we didn't get called for an emergency meeting. Because even I wasn't here. I was doing my own thing. That they didn't call me, and they had someone pick me up and they brought me here. So they knew I was guaranteed coming because I had a chauffeur. The one that we was waiting on was the one that could drive himself. So finally, Kanani come. He come right over here. He sit down on this side, and I sit on this side. They open the bank accounts. Okay. Kanani tried to lie to use was saying that he used my number. And I was looking at him like, and the accountant was like, sir, on the paperwork, it shows that this is my client's paperwork. Yeah, we had our own accountants because the leader that was in the middle wanted to make sure that the paperwork wasn't being discreted, like had any secretives. Like this one person was more biased for the other. This person only knew my paperwork and had no knowledge of the other person. The same for Kanani. This person only knew what Kanani's paperwork said, but not what my paperwork said. They had no knowledge. But the leader and the leaders that was on the phone already saw my paperwork and his paperwork. They're just doing this because they like hear what we're going to say. So the leader that's in person raises his hand, go, you know what, Kanani? We get something for show you guys. So they show us on paperwork that we in debt. This whole business, this whole club is in debt. And they like kill everybody's family. The leaders on the phone comes online and says that is a fact. They go, that's facts. We're not fucking with you guys. Because they said, Kanani, how come you get like almost zero amount of money or really low amount of money? But you get plenty money. So they thought I was stealing money. Okay? They thought I was stealing money. And I said, no, all my money is legit and all credited. They went paper trail them. That's how I know how you can paper trail back. Because they had to stay. The guy that was with me was an angel. Had to be an angel from God. Because it was the accounting guy that would go word for word of his job description. And he said that, hey, I'm only here to do my job. And I must do my job to help my client. And that's what he would always say. He would like, I'm only here to help my client. Don't kill me. And then the world leaders was like, we're not going to kill you. Because the contract we told you was to, be the worker for this client. And this client is asking you to do something. And I said, yeah, if I'm the one asking you to do it, your job description is that you have to work for your client. So do what I'm asking you. So he did what he's supposed to. He made a phone call. And he had everything faxed to my, the main leaders. All the paper trails, the signatures, the transfer of money, all the accuracy. They called all the people that transferred me the money. What jobs did I do for them? Why did I get the money? What was the bet? What was the deals? What did I do? Blah, blah, blah. What was the agreements? What was the contracts? They went through them all. That the world leaders and the leader was mad, like pissed. That they told me, you sit on the side. So I go sit against the wall. And they told Kanani go sit in the middle. So they could hear him better on the speakerphone, they said. But that wasn't true. They sat him in the middle. And he got lit up like he looked like a Christmas tree. He had green and red lights all over him. And I was looking at him like, and the leader said, "You think we'd not serious now, Kanani?" And then Kanani went cry. No, I'm not lying. Kanani had tears coming out his eyes, telling the world leaders and the leader in front of him that he promised to God that he'd pay all his debt. He promised. Then the world leaders was like, Kanani, you gonna keep promising us shallow, hollow promises. You still gonna try to sell us that you could tell already that they over it already. That Kanani ended up saying, "Oh, give me more time." Now he like extend time. Bruh, you could tell when the leaders then hit the fucking roof already. Then hit the roof already. That they said, execute this fucker. For real. When execution. Meaning meaning that all the lights been turned off. That means they're not going to shoot him now. They like make one ceremony of his death. One ceremony. To show everybody. Because they said, Kanani, we're going to make an example out of you. We're going to give you an execution. Kanani looks at me and tells me, fuck you. Fuck you. And I look at him like, that's not how you ask somebody for save your life, dummy. So I get mad. And I would lean back and I never say nothing. I was just staring at him. So the leaders went dismiss him. Yeah. They said, you know what, Kanani? You cannot run for us. We're going to find you. Get the fuck out of my house. So they left. I was going to leave. But my ride is the guy. He ain't going nowhere. My ride is still sitting in the corner over there, smoking his cigarette. You can tell he ain't going nowhere. So I know going. So I'm sitting there like, okay, I like leave. Cause the meeting over. They said the meeting not over for you. And I said, oh, great. They said, come here. So I sit in the middle. He said, you have all the rights to do what you did. Your money is yours. Blah, blah, blah. The world leaders tell me I like make one loan with you. That's how I gain higher authority. I said, you like make a loan with me? That makes me your boss. And they said, yeah. And I said, and what? They said, you already are Queen Spades. And that definition business, right? So my own contract went slap me in the face. They would use my own contract against me. So I was like, oh, fuck, that's right. And because this is a business situation, he is my king. And he's on higher authority than the other kings. That's why I'm talking to the speaker box, not the guy that's in front of me. So I was like, okay, what now? He said, tomorrow, Mr. over there that drove me over there gonna drive me to the bank that's on the main highway called First Hawaiian Bank. And I said, and what? I like you sign the articles that they faxing in. And I can read them as long as I like, but they're not going to let me out the door until I sign them. So it's not like I had an option anyway. The only option I had was, yeah, you can take 24 hours you like inside that building, read them. But guess what? You're still going to sign them. And I said, okay, what's on the article right now? I tell him, I don't like no surprises. I like hear about the article right now while I talk to you. He's like, oh, you're a smart one. And I said, well, I got to deal with you. So here I go. And you an adult and I'm a minor. You're an adult and I'm a kid. So, or technically I'm a teenager, but that's still a minor. So here we go. And then he was saying, okay, we are this much debt to this much of these situations and blah, 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 blah. And then that's when I lose it more. I said, wait, that was under Kanani's jurisdiction. Wait, that's Kanani's accounts. Like he deal with that. Because business means I can reject if it's not my responsibilities. I'm not accountable for it. So that's why they went go down to let's make a loan then. They had to. Because Kanani and I is nothing. So, also, I was 12 years old. I have the right to the age of 14 to stay single, to say that I want to court, like the laws of courtship. Yeah. That's the female side. So when they brought up the situation of the female courtship side, right? During my 2 years, I worked really, really hard to make legal binding contracts with every leader to recognize me as Queen Spades, highlighted Spades, because the details and attachments to the word Queen Spades, you cannot touch or harm me or conflict with me in a good or bad way. Meaning you always have to keep distance. Always. Physical distance, computer distance, all like no contact. No contact means no contact. Only for business reasons. Okay? It specifically says that only for business reasons. Business means there's no sexual. That's what keeps them away from me sexually, because it specifically says business purposes. And the details of business means there's no sexual business there. That's under the definition of pleasure type of business. So that's not how we are. So that conflicts with the entitlement of the female rules. So they ended up treating me more like how the guys rule out. I can have concubines, this and that, blah, blah, blah. But if I ever do settle down, the rule says it has to be a high-ranking authority. And somebody of a high-ranking authority is the only one that I'm allowed to settle down with. And has to be agreed by the recognition of all the other leaders as well. Because the contract still states that I am also their queen. So there's, by their contracts, they're kind of like all the men that has to kind of give me away. Yeah. all of them has to agree to give me away in that type of manner. But I still their business person, their business queen, their person that they do business with. So that's when it goes back to the selling of the souls. That's the reason why when you sell your soul, you're selling your living, your life. So whatever time you have left to live, that living and life is for me. Because you sold it for me. You have to live for me. You have to die for me. And you have to, you know what I mean? Because your life is for me. So how I ask you to live your life, you have to live your life that way. Why do you think all the people I made bets with and deals with, I said, I want you to live your life because I own it by these jurisdiction rules. If they had a certain problem with anger, I asked them to go through therapy, healing. Some of them that had this, craving for kill all the time, made sure that they went into the proper asylums, that they checked themselves in, had proper care, was taken care of, was shown love, was shown compassion, was shown all that in one facility so they don't get too much stressed out. But they still had the rights to go out certain days, but they understood that they had to be confined because their favorite habit or their favorite hobby to do is against the law. But at least this person is taking initiative that their habits, their interests is against the law. And that is showing proof that you're observing the law and you're doing the best you can to but to dominate, not suppress, to dominate, control, and execute and practice and exercise your cravings and your specific interests in the correct way. So how they exercise the energy out, because they're not allowed to kill anybody, they go through these routines. They had to. They found out that these type of people with these type of mindsets had to be in some kind of organized routine that not someone told them. But they chose it all by themselves. And when they did, they noticed, depending on your personality, they have to address you differently. More angry people, they like to be more, moved around by one. Like, not much in a big group. But they like to throw in the group sessions once in a while. But the funny ha ones, they like the group. And then once in a while, the one-on-one. You see the two different personalities? There's even more. But these are the two main core ones. One that really likes the one-on-one and the one that really likes the group. But you see how we still have to put it in routine that the one that really likes groups still had to have the one-on-one. The one that really liked the one-on-one, we still have to get into the group because we have to get them to understand there's others. Not in a good or bad, or good and bad way. We wanted them to understand that there is others like you. In a good way, you're not alone. In a bad way, do not team up and start acting crazy. No. This is just to make sure you know you're not alone. But the whole point of this is not for you guys to be still acting crazy. So, situated, right? All that. Okay. Just making sure, because I don't want everybody to have different point of views of like, oh, look, has the idealistics to make crazy people seem normal. That's actually a good thing, but right now we cannot be scaring people. Like I said, And I said many, many times before, many other videos in the past too. We're trying to not scare them. You understand? We're going to place it on them very slowly. You see when we in Habamom, and then they went freak the fuck out. And they did that to me. So now you guys believe why we have to ease it in there. Okay? So in either which way, I still have to say thank you. I cannot hate the person that gave me the greatest gift of my life. I cannot say I don't know the person that gave me the most greatest gift of my life. Those are no longer acceptable excuses. So all I can say is, yeah, I love him. But my reason why I love him is not the way you guys think. I love him is because he gave me the greatest gift I would ever want. His birthright powers. His birthright. And that was the deal. And the bet was stated that if I win, that they was all hypocrites and all of this is real and I will do what I do. Yep. Because I also told them that you must be crazy about the kid. This is not blah, blah, blah. But then I ended up believing about the child. Because when I was on the black side, I ended up holding my stomach. And you guys had to know I wouldn't believe. Why would I agree to any other standards about the child? That is proof right there that I believed from the beginning. But I was playing my own game. I was acting like the fool while I was fooling all the world leaders of planet Earth. I was acting like the fool. I was acting like the gesture while I was fooling and gesturing the real fools and gestures. Obviously, because who were they really working for? If you really look at it. But anyways, I better leave. There's a lot of 4-1 going by. There was a really pretty white one over there.